Hey, that's impressive. Eric Lindros, one of the great young players in the National Hockey League. And you know, when you think about it, Wayne Gretzky's been wearing the C since a relatively young age. Let's get back to more of our feature interview with Wayne Gretzky.
The blue line where it's held in nicely over to Gretzky. Gretzky up the middle in front. McSorley shoots, he scores!
Wayne Gretzky's always risen above certain moments and said, you know, I'm going to be the guy. I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy with the puck. I want to be the guy who takes responsibility, good and bad.
Captain has to display a lot of character, and I've heard you say before, and it's well documented, that you've gotten a lot of your character from your dad. Talk to me a bit about him and what he means to you.
Well, my dad's real special, as every child's father is. That's what life is all about. You only have one father, you only have one mother. And he was a very unique man. He's, you know, his nickname was Big Wally, and for people who would meet him the first time, they would say, you know, I've heard so much about this man. I expected this big 6'3", 220-pound man, and you see this 5'8", 150-pound man. He was methodical. He believed in fundamentals. He believed in work ethic, and most importantly, he was very unselfish and he was very dedicated.
And what was it like living in the public eye for as long as you have, opening up the paper and something that was very personal, that is a parent being sick with an illness and having to read about it being documented in the paper?
Well, it was hard, but it wasn't hard because everybody always says to me, "How do you know you handle the media well? You're good with the media." My dad was the one who taught me how to work with the media and how to be with the media, and that the media was part of being a professional athlete. He groomed me from the time I was 7 years old. So I know whenever they would write anything about my dad, that I would focus on my dad and think, well, he knows that that's just part of being a professional athlete, and it didn't bother me. And it was almost like one of the ladies in town, Christy Blatchford, wrote an article about my dad, and I knew my dad always respected her as a writer, and I kept it and I put it beside his hospital bed, and I left it there, and I remember saying, if he can ever get awake here and see this, he'll be so proud of this. So the going through it through the media almost relieved some pressure for me. It relieved some tension almost.
So at this stage of your life, when you dig down into your heart for inspiration, for guidance, for motivation, is it your dad you think of, or is it your family that you think of? Well,
probably my dad. I think that his work ethic, I mean, my dad was a blue-collar man. He worked 8 to 5 every day for 35 years. He spent countless hours helping other kids at community volunteer. He was just a tremendous father, and he comes from a Polish-Russian family where strong European blood, and they believe in work ethic, and I don't think there's any question I get my inspiration from my father.
You've been asked so many questions about so many things. What is a question that, and you ask it, that you would like to be asked that nobody's asked you? Something you'd like to say?
Oh, my goodness. I'm not even sure. I probably, you know, what's the hardest thing? What's the hardest part about being a professional athlete? You know, people always look at, well, you get to travel, you make all this money, you play a game, it's so much fun, it must be all great.
So what is the hardest part about being a professional athlete?
Probably the travel of having to leave the family. That's probably the hardest part for me. Now I'm at an age where I have kids, and especially the West Coast teams, we go away for 2 weeks. And during that time, things happen, and the kids grow up, and I'm not complaining because I wouldn't trade my life in for anything. But, you know, with everything that's good that goes along with something tough is in there too. And I think the travel is the hardest part.
And lastly, Wayne, right now, What is it that you embrace and maybe savor a little bit more right now? Because we're all in an hourglass with time going through. You savor it more now than you did when you were 20 years old. Something you want to hold on to when it's over.
Every time I go on the ice, because every time I step on the ice, I always turn to one of the guys and I go, well, this is one less time that I'm ever going to skate in this league. And when you're 20 years old, you say, okay, I'm going to play the next 15 years. That's eternity. That's never-ending sort of thing. And when you become 33, 34, 35, you step on the ice and you go, you know what? Next year might be my last year. And I savor every minute now that I go on the ice. I absolutely love it.
You get the feeling maybe Wayne Gretzky could tell hockey stories for hours at a time? When you watch Wayne Gretzky play now, it's a similar situation to that which existed years ago with greats of the past like Lionel Conacher, Gordie Howe, Maurice the Rocket Richard. People who watch them play in their prime still tell stories relating their exploits on the ice. You know that years from now, when you're talking to your grandkids or your kids or whatever the case may be, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to say, I had the chance to watch the great Wayne Gretzky play in the prime of his career. I don't know, I just think about that every time I watch him at this stage of his hockey life. That's it for show number 1, to Be a Player, the hockey show. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you can join us next time. The theme of the show will be winning the Stanley Cup. I'm Paul Romanuk. It's been nice talking to you. I'll see you again later on.
Be a Player, the hockey show has been brought to you by